Good evening, everybody. Hope you're doing well this evening. Sorry about the technical difficulties to start off the show. Got a special one tonight, guys. Got a good one. Got a big one. All right, so we recap tonight college football, what happened last weekend. Okay, so we had a lot happen. I was at the Alabama and Vandy game. Okay, Diego Pavia in pregame practice taking a knee to seal the game. All right, and it didn't really end that way. Alabama goes on to win that game. They end up covering the 12.5-point spread. Why do they cover that 12.5-point spread? Well, they're up by 9 with about roughly a minute and a half left, somewhere around there. Well, then, hey, they burst into the open field. Jam Miller does for a 20-yard touchdown, somewhere around there. All right, so that extends the lead to 30-14. Okay, then here's a crazy part. That extends the lead to 30-14. So that covers the 12.5-point spread, okay? And I know a lot of Vegas bettors that they lost some money. I did lose some money. I know myself I did, but it wasn't because of that. It's because something else. I think his passing yardage over under was like 204 and a half or something like that, and he had just short of it. Anyways, that's aside from the point. Welcome into the Hayden Coker Show, presented to you by Senator Lance Bell. Senator Lance Bell, the best man I know is the best man he knows. So this is that show, and I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Got a haircut, lovely jubbly, and shout out to Miss Shelby Dunaway over at Studio on First. That is Miss Shelby Dunaway. You can call Shelby Dunaway at 205-718-0633. So yeah, that's just how that is. Oh well, what you want to do about it? I don't really care. Let's do it. Go get your haircut, okay? And I dropped my pen. Anyways, so I want to go ahead and start out with. All right, Bama lost to Vandy. We've covered that. All right, well, Ohio State's rolling, man. Ohio State's rolling. They look like one of the better teams in the country. Obviously, you can say whatever you want to about the Texas game in the first weekend of the season. That's kind of diminished now. Now, obviously, you can't really – I don't think you can take away the fact that they beat the number one team in the nation, because that's where they were ranked at the time. What can you do about it? All right? That's where that Texas team was ranked. Now, obviously, you can use the eye factor. You can use the eye test and put into theory. Well, guess what? They're not that same Texas team anymore. Go ahead, do it. That's fine, whatever you want to say. But right now, this Texas team looks good, man. This Ohio State team looks good. Julian saying he's playing some really good football defensively. Guys, they scored defensively. Okay, they've got 5 touchdowns defensively this year. They're good. They're good. So I can't say anything, and I could be wrong with that stat, and could be thinking of a different team, but I do believe that they are one of the best teams in the country when it comes to defensive touchdowns scored. But Ohio State's just one of those teams that stands out. For one, they've got a really strong defense. We know the offense took a little bit to kind of catch on. Julius saying took a minute to get comfortable in that offensive scheme and whatnot. And of course, he's one of those guys that he everybody calls some people call him a check down merchant or check down saying or check down Julian, whatever you want to call him. But I think it just took him a minute to get comfortable and to fit in with that offense. Now I think it's a little bit different of a story. C.J. Donaldson, running back at Ohio State, transferred over from West Virginia. He's balling out. They've got a really good offensive line, man. So I really, really, really like where they're at. And I'm getting a phone call. Hannah Dewey's, cousin Hannah Dewey's. I don't know why you're calling me, but I'm doing a show. All right, I'm doing a show. Stop calling me, Joanna. If you're watching this, tell your daughter to stop calling me. All right, I'll call you later, Hannah. But no, so another thing I wanted to talk about was the SEC heating up, and we'll talk about races and everything like that, and not the human race, but we'll talk about the conference races and everything heating up here shortly, whether it's the SEC race, the ACC race, the Big 12 race, Big 10 race, and even the Group of 5, guys. We've got, and by the way, the HCS Power 12 coming soon. I'm going to upload that here shortly, and I'll show you guys that. But here's the problem. The SEC is doing a little beating up on each other. All right, Mississippi State, they came out fired, man. Texas. Now we knew what Texas was after, not the Ohio State game. I feel like we knew what Texas was after they played UTEP and struggled. All right, we knew what Texas was. We're seeing them get a little beat up in the SEC play. And Florida, not a terrible team. Florida really, really good defensively. Looks like they finally figured it out offensively. That'll be really fun to see. Jaden Baugh he finally got, I believe it was 18, 19 carries for Florida. That was more than he got in 2 weeks combined over the last few weeks. So, bravo, Florida and Jaden Ball. Jaden Ball, I think, one of the better running backs in the SEC. Ahmad Hardy, Jaden Ball, those guys are right there. Jam Miller's up there too. But I'm just kind of putting those guys in the category of their own because that's where I think they stand. I don't think anybody comes close to those guys, especially Ahmad Hardy. He leads the SEC in rushing right now, and he's just fantastic. So I'm not taking anything away from any of the other backs out there, but Ahmad Hardy and Jaden Ball are just on another level right now on another planet. So it is what it is. But Miami, another team that is just really, really impressive, man. You get good wins with Florida, USF. Now you got a really good win over the Florida State team that's really gritty. So I'm curious to see how Miami fares off over the next few weeks, which they could be, or well, I'm going to go ahead and say this because I release the ACS Power 12 every Sunday morning now. It was Tuesdays. We moved it. Okay, I get it. We moved it. So what? Who cares? Sunday morning, okay? Some people are, I feel like most in tune is Sunday mornings. Everybody's like, oh, and just woke up from a fantastic Saturday of football, had a good night's sleep. Okay, what's Hayden Coker putting out on the Power 12 before church, all right? Well, I put it out. Miami's in number one, so hope you guys enjoyed that one. Number two, I guess you can kind of guess. We'll go into it later. But yeah, man, Miami is just one of those teams that is really, really fascinating to me because they've got, for one, Tony. Tony, one of the best freshman wide receivers in the country. C.J. Daniels, who is an absolute bowler as well. Both of those guys at the wide receiver position. I really look forward to see what they do over the next few weeks. Obviously, you get into ACC play. Yeah, obviously, I understand that the ACC is not necessarily the how do I say this? The most well-known, like the best conference in college football. It's just not. I put it around third or fourth right now. I think the Big 12 is up there as well, or right there with them. I think both of them are bottom two, though, in the Power Four. I think the ACC is one of those conferences that you're going to get your good games week by week, but I don't think any teams that are playing serve much of a purpose when it comes to the college football playoff. Okay, now I understand there's different teams out there. You could say like, well, Clemson went in a good year. All right, not this year. Obviously, they've lost 3 games now. Not necessarily the Clemson of Clemson that everybody's been thinking of, or the Clemson that everybody wants to see year in and year out. It's not the Dabo Swinney-led team that people just love to see catapulted into the rankings. Right now, they're nowhere near the top 25. Why, you may ask? Because they kind of stink, and they're kind of dog trash. So, I don't know, man. I don't know what you want to say about Clemson, but they're not one of those teams. Florida State, I think, is up there for one of the better ACC teams. Miami, obviously, they're the best team in the country right now. They're the most well-rounded team. So, I firmly believe that well, for one, I'll leave Miami there. But with the ACC, it's just not a well-known, it's not as prominent of a conference as the Big Ten or the SEC right now. Say whatever you want about the Big 12. Got some bad football playing in there. You've also got some really good football being played in the Big 12. For instance, Arizona State and Utah are playing this weekend. That's going to be a fantastic game, too. So I'm really excited for that one. Utah, they're going to win the Big 12. I don't know. I think Texas Tech right now has that spot, in my opinion. Arizona State, those guys are up there as well. I picked Texas Tech preseason. A lot of people are like, are you buying the Texas Tech? Are you buying the Texas Tech Kool-Aid? Well, let me tell you, the red Kool-Aid is really, really good. I think it's tropical punch or whatever the flavor is. It's good. So, yes, I was buying Texas Tech Kool-Aid. I've been buying Texas Tech Kool-Aid. I think they'll be good. I think they'll be fine. I think they'll win the Big 12, like I previously said. So, man, that's just how it's going so far. This is the Hayden Coker Show presented to you by Senator Lance Bell. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. We've had a fantastic few weeks. Fantastic. I believe we've been doing this live show here for a month and a half now. It's been good, man. It's been fun. I do believe, though, and I have to say this is what, week 7, I believe, of doing the show. A lot of good coming from this show, all right? A lot of good. Now, everybody can say a lot of bad, spewing out of my mouth. I understand that. It's completely understandable. But let me just tell you something. I'm tolerable, all right? I'm tolerable. I'm not some talking head up here just talking myth. Well, maybe I am, but I'm doing okay. When I say I don't mean mess, I mean myth, like crazy stuff. But it is what it is, man. The Hayden Coker Show presented to you by Senator Lance Bell, also brought to you by Steel 174. Daniel Welch, Dawson Welch, Bobby Welch, some really good guys over at Steel 174. Fantastic construction company out of Steel, Alabama. Now, you don't want to take 47 trips to the convenience store or the hardware store or anything like that, but and you certainly can't build your house out of gingerbread icing for a gingerbread house or anything like that. You just can't do it. So what you need to do, you need to call the guys over at like Daniel Welch, Bobby, or hey, Dawson as well. You call those guys, look them up on Facebook at Still174. They'll get you going. All right, that's just how it is. Now, got some games this week. Before we get into some games of the week, what do we have here? Boy, what do we have here? The ACS Power 12 is exactly what we have here, okay? Memphis, okay, one of the better teams in the group of 5 when it comes to strength of schedule right now. I have Memphis at that group of 5 spot, at that final 12 seed, okay? Coming in at number 11, we have the LSU Tigers, the Bayou Bengals, if you will. Now we have Texas Tech 10, Indiana 9, the Fighting Kurt Signetti's there. They fall there. A&M, the Aggies at number 8. Elko's doing a fantastic job. I think that Texas A&M is going to be one of those teams at the end of the year that people are going to look back on and say, hey, you know what? As I see some of the people I know over here in Buffalo Wild Wings, people are going to look back on A&M at the end of the year and say, man, you know what? They've come a long way. A&M, I think, one of the best teams in the country right now, and that is why they call it number 8. The Georgia Bulldogs at number 7. You have Oklahoma, number 6, and they have Say No More. By the way, big news out of big news out of Norman, and John Mateer may be playing this Saturday. Anyways, Ole Miss number 5, Alabama coming in at number 4, Ohio State at number 3. You have the Oregon Ducks at number 2, and the Miami Hurricanes at number 1. So, ACS Power 12, it's back. It's better than ever. Each week, every Sunday morning, you can catch it. I drop it around 10 a.m. Usually, I like to sleep in on Sundays, so I get that in around 10. Saturdays, I can't sleep in, man. I get too up. I'm too juiced for the college football day. That's just how it is, man. It's too juiced. So that's just how that rolls. But John Wayne Brewer chimes in and said, poor old Florida Brutus schedule, and it just happens to keep on occurring for this Florida team. Now, back to the Power 12. Agree to disagree. Drop what you disagree with in the comments. That's okay. We can discuss. We can talk. I can elaborate on my reasoning. It is what it is. But also, drop who you think your best teams in the country. All right, I understand you don't have to drop your full 12. All right, but at least go ahead and give me your reasoning for what you think is wrong or right. Okay. But anyways, all right. ACS Power 12, Week 7. There you go. Number 12, Memphis, LSU, Texas Tech. By the way, Texas Tech going to be one of those teams that is going to continue to rise. The Indiana Hoosiers, are they going to drop out this week? They've got a really good matchup against the feisty Oregon team, man. And Oregon is just really, really good this year. You have Indiana 9, A&M 8. A&M going to be tested over the next few weeks as well. A&M has Florida this week at home. That's another test, despite what the record says for the Florida Gators. Now, number 7, the Georgia Bulldogs. They're going to be tested over the next few weeks as well. They're going to get tested this week in Jordan-Hare Stadium. That's going to be a fun. We'll talk about it later. Oklahoma, they've got Red River this weekend. Ole Miss, you have Alabama. They go to Como this weekend to take on Missouri. Ohio State taking on the Illinois Fighting Illini. You have the Oregon Ducks. They've got, like I said earlier, the Indiana Hoosiers. And then Miami, you have the Hurricanes there. So some good football taking place. But let's not get distracted from what all has been happening over the last few weeks, guys. This Power 12, this ranking, obviously, it's not just made up or anything like that. It's the culmination. It is, and how do I even say this? It is a product of what's happened over the last few weeks. So, but yeah, as I scan down at the iPad, I have some matchups for this upcoming week. Okay, A&M in Florida. Hey guys, that's a big one. A&M in Florida. A&M currently a 7.5-point favorite. Now, forgive my voice. I'm still trying to let it heal from Friday night. The Asheville Bulldogs. Let me remind you, the Asheville Bulldogs have officially improved to 5-1 on the year, and I got a little excited post game. I came over from Rome, Georgia, from where Haralson County took on. Who did Haralson County take on last week? Model High School. Came over from that game last week. And celebrated with the boys, give a little pep talk, and have videos on Facebook thanks to Mary Hope Bay. So that's lovely. But That's why the voice is going to try treating it. We're getting back to normal. But that's going to be a fun one. A&M in Florida. It's in Kyle Field. That's the only thing. If it were in the swamp, I'd be a lot more confident in Florida. This is a game that I think Florida can win. I don't think they win. I think that A&M is just a little too aggressive offensively, and they're too good, man. They're too good offensively. And Colin Klein, he's going to have a few plays dialed up in his playbook, dialed up in his back pocket that he's going to keep. And I think those plays are eventually going to lead to an A&M win. All right, A&M, they've got a good defensive line as well. Now let's talk about the offensive line, because Florida, they're really good up front defensively, but I don't know if they can not necessarily compete. They will compete. I don't know if they can hang 4 quarters with that A&M front. Okay, that A&M O-line they're really good. They're dominant, man. And I'm curious to see what happens with them. So take a sip of the Buffalo Wild Wings sweet tea. Nice to shout out to Buffalo Wild Wings here in Pell City for letting me do the Hayden Coker Show, presented to you by Senator Lance Bell Live. From Buffalo Wild Wings here every Thursday at 7 o'clock. Highly appreciate these guys, man. They're awesome, and they work wonders, okay? So yeah, man. Like I said, Nicholas Adams chimes in. Did I hear that you picked Candy Vandy over Bama last week? Nicholas Adams, you were smoking crack. I did not say that. I did not say that at all, okay? In fact, it has actually been a go back in here. All right, so here we go. All right, so yes. So I did not pick Candy Vandy last week. All right. Sorry. All right. The brain cells are running a little slow tonight. All right. The gerbils, the hamsters, whatever you want to call them. But yeah, no, I did not pick Candy Vandy last week. That's absolutely false. Okay, I did not do that. As Cat Collie chimes in and says, let's go dog pound. Absolutely go dogs. Not the Georgia Bulldogs, per se. But no, I did not pick Vandy. I was at the game. I wore Wake Forest college shirt. No, I did not pull for Vandy. I was rooting for Alabama. It's just clear the air on that. All right. Now I know that there's a narrative push that I'm not a Bama fan. I'm a Bama hater. It is what it is. Because I grew up an Auburn fan. Whatever you want to say with that's completely fine. All right. Don't give a crap. Next with it. So I got in trouble the other night because I said there's a cuss word that I said, and I believe the word was hell. And my grandmother, Edie Coker, she got on to me. And I just want to take a chance and formally apologize to Edie because, that was rough. She missed it the other night at my house. That was lovely. Got on to me. She beat me with a paddle. It's on the head. That's why I have a few bruises. See a few bruises, bumps on me. No. My grandmother does not beat me. She doesn't. Don't worry. But no, I did not pick Vandy, like you said. Now, A&M in Florida, I have A&M in that game. I think it'll be a close game, but don't get me wrong. When I say this, Florida will put up a fight, man. Florida's going to put up a fight. It's going to be a fun one. Now, Big Ten action, Ohio State, Illinois. Okay, Ohio State currently a 14.5-point favorite in Champaign, Illinois. Now, it helps the Illinois Fighting Illini being at home in Champaign, but I don't think it's going to help much. I think Ohio State wins this game. I think they cover the spread. I think it'll be a lower scoring game at first. Ohio State eventually goes on to put up 31, 35, 34, somewhere around there. Obviously, I think it's going to be a slower start. All right, with the first score probably being somewhere around the 7-minute range in the first quarter. But yeah, no, Ohio State wins that game. Jared Smith, thank you for tuning in. Missouri and Bama, it's coming. Be patient, my friend. Georgia and Auburn, that one's coming too. A lot of good games, and here's the thing about this weekend. Okay, this is a good college football slate, but with some of these games, I think people aren't necessarily as tuned in. All right, I think they need to be tuned in a little bit and take a sip of the sweet tea to hydrate. Arkansas, Tennessee. Take a look at the iPad. All right, Arkansas, Tennessee, another good one. Tennessee favorite in that one. Tennessee, how many points they're going to put up, okay? How much does Tennessee win by? Is it have the Vols winning this game? I think Tennessee wins in Rocky Top. All right, and if it were in Fayetteville, I still have Tennessee winning, to be honest with you. But I think it would benefit Arkansas a little more. Obviously, being at home is always going to benefit the home team a little more. But obviously, in that case, I would still take Tennessee. I think Tennessee wins this game. I think they win it by double digits. I think that Arkansas has the offense to keep it close for at least the first half. But eventually, I just think that Tennessee defense is just going to wear them down, okay? That defense is going to get tired of being on the field, okay? I think that Tennessee's going to score quickly in this one. And if you watched Tennessee this year, if you watched them against Syracuse, you understood that Tennessee team does not score. They're not an 8-minute, 6-minute, 7-minute drive type of team. That team's going to go down the field. They're going to score within 2, 3, 4 minutes. All right, so I think that they score quickly, and I think that they get tired defensively, and the offense as well. They're going to get tired. They're just going to wear Arkansas down. And I think that Tennessee eventually goes on to win that game. The spread right now, according to the iPad, is 12.5 points. So, and this is from Yahoo Sports, of course, but I have Tennessee winning that game. Now, moving on, all right, 22 minutes into the live stream, we have Jared Smith chiming in, Ohio State with the points for 3. So, this is where it gets interesting. This is where it gets interesting, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So let's go ahead and dive into it. All right, I've got some statistics that I want to read off for you. Bama and Missouri. Okay, you have the Tigers of Como taking on the Crimson Tide. He was coming off a fierce win, a fierce victory against the Vanderbilt Commodore team, a Diego Pavia-led team. By the way, that is a pretty good run of the ball. All right, a pretty good run of the ball. Sylvester. What am I talking about? Cedric Alexander in that game. 4 carries, 76 yards. He just went away from the run game, and that's a stat that was like into the fourth quarter. It was pretty early on into the fourth quarter. So that's that. All right. The fact that they give it to him 4 times, egregious. He had that long run in the first quarter that put Pandy up, is what it is. Now, all right, let's get into it. Missouri versus Alabama. All right. Missouri, okay, number 1 in the SEC when it comes to rushing, okay. Ahmad freaking Hardy, number 1 in rushing in the SEC. All right, he leads the SEC in rushing right now. That dude is freaking legit. If you have not watched Ahmad Hardy this year, you need to. He's the best running back in the SEC. Now, say, oh, well, they haven't played anybody. I don't care, man. All right, you've seen them play. We looked earlier in the year. We saw them play South Carolina. Okay, they played a really good They played a good South Carolina team and knocked them off. Although average South Carolina, they're still decent, all right? They knocked off South Carolina, okay? Now, let's throw it back a little bit. Kansas Jayhawks, okay? You host a rivalry that's brought back to life, all right? A rivalry that's brought back to life. You go in, you beat Kansas, all right? Now, you got the Alabama Crimson Tide coming into town. The Alabama Crimson Tide coming to Columbia, Missouri. Como, if you will. Ahmad Hardy, man. Let's take a look at it. Like I said, number 1 in the SEC in rushing. Okay? Now, let's take a look at the rushing offense, all right? As I point to the statistic here for Missouri, let's take a look at Missouri, all right? Missouri is first in rushing defense right now, all right? First in rushing defense, all right? Alabama not the best at running the ball. That's not the stat that I'm concerned about. The stat that I'm concerned about right now, okay, is Alabama. All right, let's take a look at it. I'll pinpoint it real quick. Bama on the year. All right. Bama on the year forced 10 turnovers. They have allowed 1 turnover. They have 1 total turnover on the year, and it was, I believe, it was an interception from Ty Simpson. So 1 total turnover on the year for Ty Simpson this year for this Alabama Crimson Tide team. They have forced 10 turnovers. Missouri, they can be as good as they want to in rushing defense. Okay, they can be as good as they want to when it comes to running the ball. All right, but when it comes to this Alabama Crimson Tide football team, they do not turn the ball over, man. They don't turn the ball over. All right, I think that they go out there. I think Alabama, Ty Simpson, he throws the ball around for probably 250 or so, 275 or so. They go out there, they win the game, they force a turnover to Boca Beulah. We know what that guy's about. We know how good that he can be, okay? He showed that this year. Again, you can say whatever you want to. He hasn't played anybody. I don't care, man, okay? Boca Beulah is a good quarterback, but I think Alabama forces a turnover or two to win the game. I think it's going to be a 10-point game. Alabama wins. Now, let's talk about the points, or not the point spread. Let's talk about I guess you could say the point spread. The total here. Alabama favored by, I believe it was 3.5 as of a few days ago. So, Alabama, I think it's still 3.5. Alabama wins the game. They cover. But there's a reason it's 3.5 right now. It's not just for no reason. There is a reason, I promise you that. Missouri, the Tigers, they're good. But then they have that capability to knock off one of the better Crimson Tide teams. Okay, it's a better Crimson Tide team than last year. Do they have that capability? No. I can't say they do. I think that Alabama wins this game through the arm of Ty Simpson. Just the same as they won it last week, okay? They won it by the arm of Ty Simpson. Now, obviously, you had Jam Miller. He put in over 100 yards for the first time since Jake McClellan in 2023 for this Alabama team. I get that, but Ty Simpson in that passing game was a key reason for Alabama winning last week. It'll be the key reason for them winning this week. Give me the Crimson Tide. If you want to make an elephant, whatever you want to. I'm going with Alabama in this one now. Ladies and gentlemen, move on. Move on, man. All right, Auburn, Georgia. The Auburn Tigers. All right, they are hosting the Georgia Bulldogs in Jordan-Hare Stadium on Saturday night. Now, mind you, when was the last time an Auburn football team played a night game in Jordan-Hare Stadium? A night game in Jordan-Hare Stadium. I don't think some people realize how fierce of a game this is going to be. This is going to be one of the better games of Saturday. Nicholas Adams just said, just became an Alabama fan. Stop it. Stop it. Lay off the crack. No. Lay it off. All right. Auburn is hosting a Georgia Bulldog football team in Jordan-Hare Stadium on Saturday night. The first night game in Jordan-Hare Stadium since the Texas A&M game of last year. All right. Can Auburn win the game? Of course, I think that Auburn can win the game, but here's the thing. And I think a lot of people are kind of questioning this, and a lot of people are talking about this. Hugh Freeze, for example. The guy can't call a play to save his freaking life. All right. You saw it in the Texas A&M game. I don't know if it'll improve any over the next few weeks. The problem is, if Auburn's coming off a bye week, okay, I don't know if they're gonna have something cooking. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. But here's what I think is gonna happen. I think that Auburn's going to come out the gate hot. All right. Now, I know interesting take to say that, considering that they suck offensively right now. Okay, I get it. I understand. That's a very genuine question. But here's the thing. Jackson Arnold, although he has not been playing his best, he has not turned the ball over this year. Now, I know that's not necessarily a stat that people say, and looking at it blindly, you can say, oh, wow, man, that's great for him. But also, let's sit here. Let's take a minute to really, really discuss this. Jackson Arnold has not turned the ball over this year because he's been holding on to the ball for way too freaking long. While, yes, he's going through his progressions. Yes, he is going from point A, from point B, from wide receiver X to wide receiver Z to say, hey, those guys aren't open. All right, maybe it's time to take off. He doesn't take off. He doesn't make that decision quick enough. So he ends up holding on to the ball for just a tad too long. And I understand that that's not necessarily a key to success for this Auburn team. Now, obviously, he's not turning the ball over, and that's great. That is great. But what he cannot do is hold on to the ball for too long, man, against this Georgia defense. Georgia does not have a great rush, okay? They do not have a great rush defense right now. They aren't getting to the quarterback at an elite speed, at an efficient speed, at a good enough timing to affect the quarterback. They didn't do it against Ty Simpson. They shouldn't have, okay? They just don't have the guys to do that right now. The problem, they've been going up against offensive lines like Alabama. It's a little bit different, okay? Like Tennessee. Those O-lines are a little bit better than Auburn's right now. Auburn's offensive line is not very great, okay? Xavier Chaplin, man, hate it for him. They come out. There's a report that come out earlier in the week that he may have a hearing problem, all right? Get him to the ENT, man, the ear, nose, and toe. It's not the ear, nose, and toe. But get him to the ear, nose. What is it? The ear, nose doctor? I don't know. But get him to the ENT, I think is what they call it. They've got to figure that out, man. Connor Lew, supposed to be one of the better returning centers in college football. I think he is one of the better returning centers in the SEC. He just is. But as a whole, that offensive line is just, for whatever reason, not meshing together well. They aren't coming together as a team. I don't know what it is. Now, everybody knows it's hard to play on the road. So at Texas A&M, obviously that was hard. At Oklahoma, it was 10 sacks. That was hard. And you had the false start penalties, okay? Those can't happen. That cannot happen Friday night, or that cannot happen Saturday night in this game against Georgia. It just cannot happen. If that does happen, Auburn's going to lose by 17-24. Here's the problem. I don't think it does. I think that Auburn, while it being at home, I think that Auburn's going to be a little more adjusted offensively. They're going to be a little bit more on the same page, okay? Xavier Chaplin, I think he fits in a little bit more when he's at home. He hasn't necessarily had those problems at home. So I get it. Not as fierce a competition. They played at home, but now we're going to really figure it out. The first good opponent they played at home all year, and it's the Georgia Bulldogs. They're coming to town. So I think that Auburn, they go into this game late. They've got a fight chance, okay? But Georgia, Gunnar Stockton, I think those guys are a little too strong offensively. Maybe they force a turnover defensively or so. But I think the Jacksonville are probably going to have his first turnover of the year. But Georgia and his Gunnar Stockton offense, they're going to pop late, and they're going to end up beating Auburn. I'm saying, I think they end up beating Auburn by a touchdown. I think they beat Auburn by a touchdown, and it's not one of those things that I think that Georgia scores just late. All right, I think that Georgia's up for the majority of the fourth quarter, and they scored maybe early on in the fourth quarter, or heck, maybe late in the third quarter. I think they hold on to win the game, and I think they hold on to win outright. They win it by a touchdown, maybe even close to 10. That's just how I have that game going right now. Okay, Red River rivalry. Some people refer to it as a Red River shoot. Okay, 90 points combined, 8 points combined. That's what this rivalry is known for over the past 5 to 10 years. That's what it's been known for. Offense is putting up 400, 500 yards apiece. All right, it's going to be a little bit different on Saturday, man. It's going to be a little bit lower scoring. Okay, the Red River rivalry going to be not back to normal per se, but back to that lower scoring game that it sometimes has been. So I'm taking the Red River rivalry. It's one of my lower scoring games, one of the better games on Saturday. Man, it's going to be fun. Okay, John Mateer, is that guy going to return? The betting favorites, man. It was early on in the week. I think it was Texas 3.5. Could be wrong on that. It went to Texas 2.5. Now it's at Texas at 1.5. So just from those statistics alone, just from that betting line alone, I think that kind of signifies that, hey, you know what? Maybe, just maybe, John Mateer, he's going to come back and he's going to play this game. Okay, there's growing stipulation that he is going to be back for this game. Now, to take a sip from the Buffalo Wild Wings sweet tea. Man, it's good stuff, dude. It's good stuff. Hydration, as they call it. What happens, right? What happens to this game? Take a look at Texas. Arch Manning, he's had some trouble this year. He struggled. He threw 2 picks against Florida. Although he did have a dime late in that game, I do want to see Arch Manning, man. I hope he makes a stride at some point, dude, because I hate it for him. He's put in a bad situation. I'm not saying that not because of he didn't being in Texas, not because of that, but because of the last name on his back, the nameplate on the back of his jersey. It says Manning. He's just in a bad position from the start, from the get-go, dude. And I absolutely hate it for him. I hope he figures things out. It sucks, man. It does suck. All right. I hope he figures it out. I think he will. But in this game, in Red River, does he figure it out? Dallas, Texas, a Cotton Bowl, Saturday evening. Does he figure it out? I don't think so. Whether it's Michael Hawkins, whether it's John Mateer playing quarterback for Oklahoma, Oklahoma is way too fierce up front. That front seven is astounding. They have one of the best defensive lines in the country. And I'm going to take Oklahoma. I think that they have Orange a little too scatterbrained. I think he makes a turnover or two late in that game that's not necessarily warranted. And I think that Oklahoma wins that game. Now, I think that it's going to be close. It will be a close matchup, and that's going to be one of my favorite games to watch on Saturday. Yes, ahead of the Auburn game. Yes, ahead of the Alabama game. Yes, ahead of Indiana and Oregon, which I'm going to get to here in a minute. Ahead of both those. I just think that Texas, they don't have it together right now. I think they dropped their third game of the season. I hate to say it because I'm a big Texas guy. I love what they do, but I just think that this Oklahoma team right now is too good. And Oklahoma gets a win. Boomer Sooner. All right, now moving on. Indiana and Oregon. You have the Hoosiers of Bloomington. Somebody just dropped a plate of some sort. I don't know what that was. It scared the crap out of me, though. Taking on the Ducks. All right, we have the Oregon Ducks against the Indiana Hoosiers. This is going to be in Eugene, Oregon on Saturday. All right, College game day going to be there in Eugene. Guys, it's going to be a fun matchup, man. Kurt Signetti and the boys, extremely good defensively, all right? This is a team that doesn't need to be overlooked. Their defense, impressive, all right? Led by corner D'Angelo Pons. Get familiar with the name, D'Angelo Pons, all right? He's good. I expect for him to give Dante Moore a little bit of trouble on Saturday for this Oregon team. But here's the thing. This Oregon offense is legit this year, man. They are legit. I think that they are able to do a few things offensively that confuse this Indiana defense. Now, I know I get it. Indiana's really good offensively, man. I love what Fernando Mendoza is about. I love all that he has to offer. But I just don't think that they can get it done, all right? Oregon's offense, Dante Moore, DeCorian. Dude, that duo, one of the best freshman wide receivers in the country, okay? Now, we know about Evan Stewart, what he's about. But that Oregon defense is one of those defenses that stands out to me. They stick out on paper. For one, they're good. They can force a turnover or two. I think they force a Heisman candidate and Fernando Mendoza to make a turnover late. Dante Moore, by the way, also a Heisman candidate. Battle of the Heisman candidates Saturday night, okay? Oregon versus Indiana. I do think it could be a good game. It'll be one of the better games of Saturday of that slate. Got one of the best quarterback duos, one of the best quarterback battles we will see all year. But I don't think that I don't think that Indiana is going to be able to pull that game off. I don't think they win that game. I think the Oregon Ducks of Eugene, Oregon, go on to win that game. Indiana, they dropped their first loss of the year. And Kurt Signetti, we all know he's going to bring his confidence, all right? We all know he's going to bring his confidence over. We all know what that's about. But another issue. Can Indiana stop Oregon's pass game? No, and that is why I think that Oregon goes on to win this game. I think it'll be a hard-fought battle, but I think that Indiana ultimately goes on to lose that game because of the secondary. Now, it's not a bad secondary at all. I'm not saying that, but I think that Oregon is a little too good on offense. I think they go on to win the game. They've got a good rushing attack too. So, give me the Oregon Ducks. I think they win. I think they win on Saturday. They improve their record. I think they stay at number 2 in the HCS Tower 12, unless they lose. Okay, they don't drop obviously, but for right now, that's where I have. Okay, I like it what Indiana's building. I like it what all they're doing. They'll be okay. Kurt Signetti, they're building a phenomenal program over there in Bloomington, Indiana. Speaking of building, all right, you want to call Daniel Welch, Dawson Welch, and Bobby Welch over at Steel 174. You can look them up on Facebook, Steel 174. But these guys are phenomenal, man. They can build a house. They build a phenomenal house. I'm seeing it with my own 2 eyes. Okay, they get out there to do a phenomenal job. I was looking at my good buddy Daniel Welch's Snapchat story over the past week and saw a house that they had built. Man, beautiful home that those guys over at Steel 174 built. So go over to Steel on the Steel 174 on Facebook. Those guys get it done. Still strong, still reliable. Steel 174. Steel 174 on Facebook. Go look them up. All right, moving on. Let's take a look down at the iPad here. Indiana and Oregon is one of those games that I think is fantastic. And that'll be phenomenal. It'll be one of the better games of Saturday night. And I hope everybody tunes in for that one. And Jared Smith chimes in, says Oregon by 10. All right, I like that one for sure. Yeah, Nicholas Adams chimed in earlier. So he had an Alabama shirt on last week. I did now. Now let's just clear this up. All right, I did not have an Alabama shirt on. All right, no, I did not have an Alabama shirt on. Jared Smith with the allegations. All right, he's an Auburn fan through and through. He just sees it reality. Am I an Auburn fan? Who said I was an Auburn fan? I don't know. I didn't say that at all. But a phenomenal weekend of college football. Now, Memphis, guys, Memphis is going to be one of those teams that continues to climb, man. Memphis will continue to climb. We will see more progression from this Memphis team. I think that Memphis makes the playoffs toward the end of the year. I don't know if they lose a game, okay, throughout the regular season. Now, they're in the American this year. You got some really good teams in the American. Another team I'll touch on, another matchup I'll touch on before we go off here is North Texas versus South Florida. That's going to be a fun matchup, all right? North Texas, we'll see here. 4-1 on the year. I think they lost to I can't remember who they lost to earlier on in the year. No, I'm sorry. USF 4-1. North Texas undefeated on the year. North Texas is undefeated. I think they go on. I think that they win this game against South Florida. And let me just tell you about Westamaker, the quarterback. So, Mr. Westamaker, I think his first name's Hudson. But anyways, Westamaker, the quarterback for North Texas, had not played a snap at quarterback at all in high school or anything until last year in their bowl game when he shined, had over 300 yards total offense, well, of course from him. And they went on to win that game in the bowl game anyways. Tomorrow night, I think they play tomorrow night at 6:30 against USF. Tomorrow night, he continues to make that case as to why he's one of the better quarterbacks in the Group of Five, as to why the North Texas is one of the best teams in the Group of Five. North Texas has a legit shot to make the playoffs. More people need to put eyes on that team, okay? The American Conference, man, let's just take a look at it. South Florida, all right? Memphis, North Texas. That's three teams right there. And I think I'm forgetting one, to be honest with you. But those are three teams in the American that legit have a shot at making the college football playoff. This isn't the Sun Belt like it was last year, not like the Conference USA like it was last year. That I don't think those teams have a shot at making that final spot in the playoff. But teams in the American, they're stepping up and they're showing out. Now, North Texas, they win. Went over Ohio State to fight the line out. South Carolina and LSU, that's going to be a fun one as well. And Shane Beamer said it earlier on in the week. You cannot simulate 100,000 drunk Louisianians or drunk Cajuns, whatever he said, in that stadium. You cannot simulate that. So I don't think South Carolina wins that game. Maybe they keep it competitive. I think it'll be a competitive game, a good game. LSU's not as good as they were last year. Nussmeier having a rough start to the year. But I think that they eventually get it done. All right? They'll eventually get it done. They'll eventually figure it out. But LSU wins that game over South Carolina. Okay? Now, this has been the Hayden Coker Show, presented to you by Senator Lance Bell. Senator Lance Bell, one of the best men I know, one of the best men he knows. All right? Let's move on. I want to jump back at the HCS Power 12 for a second. Before we go. All right? So, and I'll jump into it here in a minute. And it's okay. So it's gone. So when we had the little Bill Belichick says Jared Smith. Bill Belichick is not succeeding. Okay, we'll just leave it at that. But now Jared Smith says, "My bad." No, I'm an Auburn fan, buddy. Don't worry. So I really want to see what Bill Belichick is able to do at North Carolina. I just don't think it's going to turn good, man. I don't think there's any good coming of it. And I think they have to find something out. They have to figure out what's going on down there in Chapel Hill, I should say, because whatever's going on, it's just not working, man. It's just not working, and I wish it would. I really do. I love Bill Belichick. I think he's the best NFL coach of all time. Now, on the other hand, in college, Nick Saban, he's the best college coach of all time. But Bill Belichick, he's the best NFL coach of all time, and I really hope he gets it done. But anyway, we'll see what happens. So let's go through it real quick. A few of my picks before we leave. Okay, a few of my final picks, my final word before we leave, my closing statements from Presidente. All right, from El Presidente Hayden. Auburn loses a close one to Georgia. Alabama, they win a close one, a nail-biter against the Missouri Tigers. All right. Yeah. Indiana and Oregon, how's that one going to go? I got the Ducks winning that one. All right. Then Red River rivalry. Red River. Oklahoma versus Texas. Oklahoma wins. I don't care if John Mateer's playing or not. Give me Oklahoma. All right, so Oklahoma, Auburn. No, sorry, Oklahoma and Georgia. Hold on. What am I even talking about here? Oklahoma, Georgia, Oregon, and Bama. That's the gist. This is the Hayden Coker Show, presented to you by Chick-fil-A. It's the Hayden Coker Show, presented to you by Senator Lance Bell. I appreciate you all for tuning in. Y'all have a good one. Y'all take care. And guys, I'll see y'all next Thursday. If y'all want to come back, I have the HCS Power 12 posted on Sunday morning. I'll be back. Y'all be good. Take care. Peace.